How many strange things are we gonna see in this video? A laser inside a bamboo, and the Nobel Prize goes to whoever invented this thing. I'll also teach you how to make these time lapses with this invention, made exactly to void your warranty, and show you how to build this wonder. Do you agree with me that it's the best laser printer in the world? Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll show you a bamboo laser. Yes, a bamboo that cuts and engraves wood to make things like this. You can actually do this with a bamboo. They really made this thing. So weird. I found it in my garden. You should check your backyard too. They say these things fall from the sky. Wait a second. They actually made this. Oh man, I can't believe it. Alright, now I want to see how versatile a laser can be inside a 3D printer. A closed one. It's not exactly lightweight, so considering the cost and prestige, I'll use my skateboard for some help. But I'd better not show you how I got it down the stairs, or I might lose my channel. Let's jump straight to the workshop. You need to remove these 4 plastic caps. That way, you can slide the cardboard out without lifting the printer, which is quite heavy. What a brilliant idea. I really like this packing system compared to the classic ones, where you had to pull everything out from the top. And here they are, the laser and the cutter. Nope, not yet. We'll see them later. Alright, let's keep unboxing this 3D printer full of surprises. Zip ties to cut, hidden rubbers everywhere. I mean, they really managed to pack everything inside this box. Now I'm putting it on the workbench. Unfortunately, those rubber feet have such insane grip that I can't even slide it around. I open the front door and surprise, it's not glass. And all of this just because of the laser. But I have to say, even if it's almost all plastic, I like the style. Minimalist, clean, elegant, and very similar to the famous X1 Carbon. Once I peeled off all the stickers, even the ones on the back, I inserted the key, because without it, nothing works. Let's welcome it to the family. I found it a nice spot next to her 2 little sisters, the A1 and the A1 Mini, and that's where she'll stay forever. Now here's the new AMS system. Of course, it's the new version, the AMS2 Pro. Inside, you'll find all the accessories, including this emergency stop button for laser setup. And yes, even the silica gel bags. Here's the compartment for the 4 spools. Guys, I had asked for just 2 regular colors, grey and black, and they sent me a whole box of 10. Seriously, thank you, Bambu. You should know all bamboo spools include an RFID tag, so the printer can automatically read the filament properties inside each roll. You can also use third-party spools. Just configure them in the software. Let's load them all in. Just insert a few centimeters of filament into the neck. Don't forget the silica gel. It's super important to remove moisture when the AMS is turned off. Once everything's in place, I insert the spools and close it up. Of course, I'll keep it on top. Way more convenient that way. Quick tip, don't use the full Teflon tube like I did at first. It adds too much friction. I shortened mine later because it was causing issues. After connecting the AMS, I power it on. Once it starts, just follow the on-screen setup. Which I have to say, looks great, bright, crisp, and really responsive to touch. Let's connect it to Wi-Fi and add it as a new device in the Bambu app. Once recognized, it runs the usual routine. First, remove the packing parts under the bed, then it starts the guided first run calibration. Cancellation to make it run quieter. And it felt like it would never end. That alone took over 15 minutes. In about half an hour, you finish the full startup test and finally the printer's ready to go. The display is big, modern, and gives you full control of the machine. Beautiful screen, but to really work seriously, you need the dedicated software, Bambu Studio, and it's honestly really well made. At the top, you can see all your connected printers. I've already got 2, the A1 and the A1 Mini, and now it's time to add this one. Every time you select a model, the build plate updates automatically to match that printer. You can even tell the software which build surface you're using, in this case the textured pie, but if you've got the smooth pie, just select that instead. Now we're going to go through a complete process, from the 3D design all the way to the physical object. This way, you can really understand how valuable a 3D printer can be. In my case, it's for building a real pinball machine. We start from a 3D design. The flippers of my pinball, which I modeled in Fusion 360. Once the model is exported as an STL file, we load it into Bambu Studio. And there it is sitting on the virtual build plate. But the flippers are two, so we just clone another one. One of them needs to be mirrored since they're not identical. Now let's hit Arrange and choose some base colors. Yellow, for example. If you want to make them two-tone, you can do it easily by clicking the paint bucket icon on the toolbar. Select the second color and use the fill bucket function. Click on the part you want to recolor and the graphic updates instantly. We do the same thing for the other sections. As you can see, once the object contains two colors, a purge tower automatically appears, a crucial element for getting a clean, sharp color change without any blending between materials. Now, I'll set the infill to 100% to make the flipper stronger, keep the layer height at 0.20mm and start the print. Make sure to select the same printer we used in the project, in this case the H2S, and then send the file to the machine over Wi-Fi. It'll perform its usual startup routine. Here we can see the real-time progress plus the built-in camera feed, which looks great in quality. After the initial alignment, something I always do to avoid any problems, the printer begins bringing our design to life. It's incredibly fast, and as you can see, it's clean and surprisingly quiet, especially considering the door is open. I also want to point out something new. On the display we can see the progress percentage, but did you know you can also track it with this little blue bar on the screen? Not essential, but a nice design touch. Here they are, finished, printed with amazing quality, especially considering that the lightning bolt detail wasn't printed on the pie textured surface. Even these visible layer lines, I actually like them. You can see I made the hole with a flat edge, so with the steel rod inserted, we get a very solid and long-lasting connection. See how important these machines are? We can create literally anything we want. Of course, it helps to have a good understanding of 3D modeling and design. Now let me tell you something. I was scrolling through videos when I saw an object that immediately caught my attention. Okay, I had to make that lamp. So I went searching on Maker World and I found it. Didn't think twice. I had to print it, also to test the quality of my Bambu Lab H2S. So I set up the printer profile. Luckily I already had all the right filament colors and I started downloading the first part, the leaves. The tree branches supports aren't automatic. They were manually created by the designer using this feature. The purple area you see is the contact zone, and we can manually decide where to place it by painting over it like with a digital marker, though there are different tools depending on your needs. Pretty incredible though, more than 8 hours of printing. We set the printer, choose the color, white in this case, and start the job. What you're watching is a time-lapse made with an external camera, not the one built into the Bambu. Alright, we've reached the tip of the pedal without any issues. No stringing and outstanding quality. Also, perfect bed adhesion. It's amazing how these supports came off without leaving any marks. You can barely tell they were ever touching. Visually, the layers are almost invisible. That's a great fusion. Now, I'm printing the inner container section, and again, it's just a matter of setting the color, choosing the printer type, and starting the print. Now look how the time-lapse changes with a more professional, fully DIY filming technique. Most people don't know how to get this effect without showing the extrusion process, but actually that's a feature Bambu Lab printers already have, though to be fair, not quite at this level of quality. Later, I'll show you the trick I use, but you guys don't try this at home. Anyway, the branch is printed perfectly, no issues whatsoever. Let's test the fit. Perfect. What a print quality, guys, and yet there are still people complaining about Bambu's print quality. I honestly don't know what to tell you. The 3D printing world has become like politics. Everyone's got an opinion. Now, I insert the 3 branches into the base because it's time for the electromaker part, lighting and programming. And that's where I come in, using Arduino and the components I already had at home. Of course, I'm using a WS2811 RGB LED strip, which I'll cut into 9 segments, that's 81 LEDs in total. I attach each segment to both sides of these small plates that will slot onto the branches, then I go ahead and prepare all the others. Next, I connect the power in parallel using this electrical cable. Perfect because it has paired red and black wires. I'll just solder one end. And for the signal, I need to solder both the input and the return wire, marking them to keep track of which is which. 4 wires are routed through the hollow branches and then each branch is sealed with its petal. I prepare the rest and assemble all 9 light points. Guys, look how beautiful this is becoming. I can't wait to read the comments about print quality, because some people still claim that Bambu Lab prints poor quality parts. What do you think? Does this look like low quality to you? Now I organize the wiring neatly, cutting off the excess since the space inside is tight, and I connect all the power cables in parallel, securing them with zip ties while leaving 2 wires free for the 12-volt external power supply. Now I'm going to show you a technique they used to create the raised texture effect on the outer shell. Look after slicing. No, those aren't errors. That's an algorithm the extruder follows to achieve this effect. The random, but really beautiful. You can find this option under Others. Fuzzy skin in contour mode. If we disable it, the layers will no longer have that textured relief, they'll be straight and perfectly smooth. Let's turn it back on and look at the final result after printing. If I had used a marble effect PLA filament, it would have looked even better. But honestly, it still turned out really nice. Very, very nice. Now let's finish assembling the lamp. The fits are perfect, but before closing everything up, I'm adding another LED module at the base to light up the vase as well. And here's the conductor of this entire project, the Arduino Nano. Let's go straight to the final assembly. Arduino has a built-in voltage regulator, so there's no real risk in powering it directly at 12 volts, since it only powers itself and nothing else. We're right at the limit, but it works. And now, look at that fit. What a showpiece. Of course, I wrote the code myself, so I can customize it however I want. I made 3 lighting sequences that switch every 20 seconds, but I'll definitely add more later. The original project used an ESP32, which is definitely superior to Arduino, especially for connectivity, but I just worked with what I had at home. And wow, how beautiful is this thing? It would make a fantastic gift, and I promise you, wherever you place it in your house, it won't go unnoticed. That's the magic of owning a 3D printer. Alright, now I'm back on camera to explain a few things about this H2S. I don't want to end just yet. Let's take a few minutes to get to know it better, but without going too technical. I'm talking to people like me, those who want a plug-and-play product, without too much tweaking. Exactly how the Bambu ecosystem was designed. We've got a good quality built-in camera too, and above all, real-time video with low latency. Nothing like the one on the A1 and A1 Mini, which are honestly very, very choppy. Now let's look at what's new on the H2S compared to the famous X1 Carbon. Naturally, the biggest improvement is the build volume, 340 by 320 by 400 mm versus the 256 mm cube of the X1. This means we can print much larger parts without splitting them into multiple pieces. We're also talking about improved speed and acceleration. The X1 Carbon was already fast at 500 mm per second, but the H2S reaches up to 1000 mm per second. Of course, that's a theoretical number, not a standard operating speed, so keep that in mind. Then there's the closed chamber and improved handling of technical materials. The H2S has a fully enclosed chamber and a hot end capable of reaching 350 degrees Celsius, making it ideal for advanced materials. And what about this one? No, I haven't forgotten it. Shall we talk about it? The AMS2 Pro. So, this new system integrates a built-in drying module which keeps the filament in ideal condition by constantly monitoring both temperature and humidity. It's especially useful if you work with hygroscopic materials, you know, the ones that love moisture, like nylon, PVA, and so on. That's definitely a great plus. Then we've got improved sensors and monitoring, better motors, a smoother feeding system, and probably more reliable performance when printing complex multicolor jobs. Compatibility and modularity have also evolved. The AMS2 Pro is designed to be daisy-chained, so you can manage multiple spools and integrate it more efficiently with high-end printers. The dimensions are roughly the same as the previous model. The improvements are mostly internal. As for the limits, the AMS2 Pro can dry up to 65 degrees Celsius, which isn't enough for technical materials that require higher temperatures. In that case, you'll need the AMS HT system. Now let's talk about Bambu as a laser engraver. Well, I'm not really an expert in 3D printers beyond their standard use. I design in 3D, I print, and I like having a finished, ready-to-go object. But I do have plenty of experience with laser engravers, so here's my take. Since I own the Bambu Laser Edition, which costs almost twice as much, well, compromising a glass front door to replace it with plastic just to fit a laser module, even though the module itself is incredibly refined, probably one of the best looking and most elegant I've ever seen. Personally, I wouldn't have done that. You have no idea how dangerous a diode laser can be, especially when cutting materials like plywood or plastic. It could definitely affect the long-term functionality of the 3D printer. But to be clear, I haven't tested it yet as a laser cutter, so this is just my assumption. If you're interested, and since I know this world very well, I can show you in an upcoming video how a Bambu laser actually works. A Bambu Lab configured as a true laser engraver. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. It could be very interesting. By the way, there's also a cutting module specifically designed for delicate materials like leather and similar, and it's surprisingly high quality too. If you'd like, I can also demonstrate that one in a future video. Before wrapping up, I want to show you one crazy DIY mod I made, something I strongly advise you not to try yourself. It's a way to make more professional time lapses. As you know, Bambu Studio offers two modes, one where a photo is taken at each layer without parking the hot end, and a pro mode, where the module is hidden between layers. Both work fine, but the downside is that the purge tower wastes filament and reduces print area. Either way, the image quality depends on the built-in camera, and well, it's just not that great. So, how did I get that smooth, high-quality time-lapse without using the Bambu camera? Here's the trick. I enabled the mode where the hot end stays parked, then I built a small bracket with a micro switch positioned exactly where the printer detects parking. That contact was connected to an IR remote trigger, so each time the head parked, my mirrorless camera took a photo automatically. The quality, unbelievable, simply incomparable. I added two tiny screws to hold the system in place, hid the cable neatly with tape, and it worked perfectly. But please, don't do this yourself. They actually sell a proper accessory for it. But hey, I'm a maker. I like things fast, and I like building them with what I already have at home. So yeah, a lot to love about this brand new Bambu H2S. I haven't printed that many things yet, but just this beautiful lamp alone was enough to convince me. And I can promise you, if you give it as a gift, you'll make a huge impression. It's truly stunning, and it only costs you the raw material. And of course, this is just one of countless projects you can find on Maker World. But honestly, it would be a shame to buy a high-end Bambu 3D printer of this level and cost just to make little projects like these. Of course, this is a machine designed for much more significant projects. For example, I built a Bambu machine, and I really recommend you check that one out. Still, Bambu printers are fantastic overall. And I actually recommend them to anyone who wants to get started in 3D printing because there are many models to choose from. Fortunately, we have the A1 Mini, which is extremely affordable, and the A1, I'm talking about the combo versions of course, where you get multicolor printing capabilities and above all, you don't have to manually change the filament every time. So this is the entry-level line. If you don't want to spend too much but still want a fast, high-quality, easy-to-use product without breaking the bank, these are the right ones for you. If on the other hand, you want to move up to something more advanced, you can consider investing in the H2S. An excellent choice. A great machine. My only complaint is that it's mostly plastic compared to other models with aluminum frames, and the door is plastic as well, but only on the laser edition. Overall though, it really won me over. Of course, there are some trade-offs. It has a single extruder, so compared to the H2D, multicolor prints will waste more material and take quite a few extra hours. But then again, the H2D comes at a higher price and it's a completely different class of printer. The H2S is larger and heavier, so it needs a very stable surface to sit on. During high-speed prints, it tends to shake quite a bit. Anyway, you'll find all the useful links in the description and in the first comment, sometimes even with discount coupons or promotions. And make sure to follow me on my Telegram page, because if you have any technical questions or want advice on which Bambu printer to buy, or even which non-Bambu printer, I'll be happy to help you out. I also printed the famous Benchy boat and it came out beautifully. We've definitely reached an impressive level of speed and quality. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end. Leave a like if you enjoyed this review, and I'll be waiting for your comments. A huge thanks to Bambu for sending me this amazing machine and all those filament spools, which I'll of course use to keep building my pinball machine. And I remind you, we're already at episode 7, so go check it out. Big hug to all of you, and see you in the next one. Before we wrap up, guys, if you enjoy this kind of content, I've built hundreds of DIY projects over the years, and I've also created several courses on electronics and soldering. What do you think? Should I bring back some of my old videos, those that only had background music, but this time using this new English spoken format? Let me know in the comments, because trust me, there are a lot of them. Thanks a lot for watching. Subscribe if you're into electronics, woodworking, or DIY, and I'll see you in the next one.